Hey guys, what's up? You're growing with Sean. What's up, guys? All right, so on today's episode of Growing with Sean, we're just gonna repot our micans. A mican is from the philodendron family. It is a great starter plant. I got into micans, I would say it probably was like my third or fourth plant. When you take a look at this mican, it's a little bit different than your normal philodendrons because they do have a fuzzy top. And when the light hit them just from the underglow, the bottom, they turn like a burgundy color. I actually have one that I've been growing up and I had to chop it because something just funky just started happening with it. But let me show it to you. Okay. So right here, and then we have them right here. So this is the size they can get up to. Right here, I just grabbed it down, and since I grabbed it down, I can tell it does need a little bit of water, so I'm gonna go ahead and moisten it up. Right now, I'm propagating this. Propagating is just a term that we use when we're trying to make more plants. You hear me talk a lot about nodes. Well, propagating is when we actually take those nodes and actually place them into some type of soil mixture, sphagnum moss mixture, perlite mixture, koi, leca, and I believe they're using this new thing called pun. You're gonna have to search that up yourself. I'm not up on game on that. But basically it's to grow more plants and to grow bigger plants. I know that I have a tendency to get a little creative, so I like to do crazy things or things that aren't necessarily deemed normal. I like these mican leaves to get just really big, and then I just like to run them on a moss pole. So that's the goal. So as you can tell, these right here are how they start. If you grow them on a pole and eventually get them, then they start to get this size. So you see it's a big difference between them. And you can kind of see that little color that comes off. Down. Okay. All right, so with our repot today, it's gonna be very, very, very simple. We don't need any zip tie, any pole. I'm not putting this on a moss pole. I'm not doing anything with this right now. All I'm gonna do is just combine these two into one. That's all. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and pot this up. And while we're potting it, then I'll give you a little bit of story on the philodendron mican. First what we're gonna do is get soil. This is what I've been using right here. I have this, and of course I have my own mixture. This already comes pre-mixed, and it's a little bit damp when you buy it, which I thought at first was a little weird, but this is my second bag. I do not like to mix this in with my already dry mix because I have seen stuff like little green mold and fungi. I don't need all that for moisture. I just want to keep my plants alive. But for the sake that I bought these from a nursery, and their pot and soil mix seems to be pretty good. The only thing that I'm worried about is there's a little bit more peat moss or koi that's in there that's holding a little bit of moisture. By this being like an orchid bark, which is a good mixture for your aneroids or just your philodendrons, a lot of plants, but we're gonna say for philodendrons for the sake of this video. Since this already has orchid bark in there, and I'm gonna keep the soil mix that it came with, this is just gonna help make it a little bit airy. All right, so we squeeze the side here. Then as we're doing it, just keep a hand there and look at that. We have a good root system going on there. All right, so what I'm gonna go ahead and do is, as always, we're gonna go ahead and put some at the bottom here. And we're gonna get this sized in. And let's just take a look and see. And you know, this is the crazy thing is that sometimes when they're like this, let's just see if putting them together would make sense in this type of size. Now, remember what happened the last time I put two plants in and it just was too big, the pot was. So take a look at the roots, and a lot of this is soil. So let's take some of this out, and then we're gonna take a little bit of that off, and then I know for sure that it's gonna be able to fit. And I'm not gonna break up the system that much, okay? That's good, just enough to try to get them to squeeze in there. Again, we're gonna do the same here. Hold it at the top to kind of keep its integrity. And then all we're doing is squeezing here. Now it's a little bit of moisture that is left from the soil from when I bought this plant like 2 weeks ago. So I should tell you, it should not be holding that much moisture for that long. At least I don't like it. I noticed when I buy from big box stores though that their plants are drenched and they seem to be doing all right. Doesn't work the same for me. So we're gonna put it in an airy mix. All right, so without breaking up the integrity of the plant, I'm gonna go ahead and just put these two in here like this. And as you can see, that's a good fit. And now I'm gonna go around and pack. Now, I did not use fertilizer this time. The reason why I didn't use fertilizer is because the nursery that I bought this from, they usually do they fertilize all their plants. And I always ask, don't assume, just ask. Hey, when the last time this been fertilized? Some never been fertilized, some may just have. It just so happened that the guy who, when he receives the plants that come into his nursery, he takes care of them. He goes ahead and repot them sometimes and just get them right. He just assured me though that he did put a liquid fertilizer in here. So it's pretty good that I asked, because it would have sucked for me to put another fertilizer in here and the plant would have died and I wouldn't have understood what happened. Okay. So again, I do have the orchid bark mix down there at the bottom, and I'm just going back around with the mix that it did come with, because it's going to be able to air out some. And what I'm going to do is just top off a little bit with my orchid bark, if it is a little bit of room. I like to go ahead and make sure that it's dropping in there. Good. I just take my finger, I go around here. And remember, we're not stuffing so much soil in here to the point where we're compacting it. We don't want that, because that's going to make it very hard for your water to be able to drain out the pot, and you'll get something what they call waterlog. You want your water, when you're watering your plant, it should go through evenly. If soon as you put water in, let's say you put water in at the crown, which is basically the middle of the plant, and it starts immediately, it just comes to one side and leaks out, and none of the other stuff gets moist, none of the other stuff gets wet. That's a telltale sign that it's something going on funky with your soil. Sometimes it has just dried completely to the point where it's clumped up, and most of the time you're using something like a lot of koi or peat moss that might have just dried all the way completely up. And at that point, if you haven't noticed anything, your plant usually it should be a show and tell by the way your plant is looking, if that's happening. But if it's not happening, you just so happen to have a really good plant that's just gonna fight for you and just gonna rock with you, well, go ahead and take care of it and put it in some better soil. It takes no time to go in here and do what needs to be done. So there we go. All right. And guys, just like that, we already have our mican replanted. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put some water in here, and I'm gonna let it sit in here for about 15-20 minutes. But I can't do that right now because I gotta get ready to take my kids to music practice. And so I don't wanna run water in here and then allow it to sit in here, and then I already have some problems going on. So I'm just gonna water it when we get back. But this is exactly how your plant should look. Let's get a little closer. See that right there? Everything in there is compacting there pretty good. And so we're just gonna set this to the side because we're done. All we had to do in this case was just take them from 2 pots and put them inside of one. Some are easier than others. This was one of those ones that it was easy. The roots was right at the bottom, so it was a good time to go ahead and repot it. You don't necessarily, I've seen a lot of people kind of let them just ball up before they take it out. I prefer not to do that. I prefer to catch it a little bit earlier, but if that would have happened, as long as it wasn't showing any type of decline in health of the plant, you would have been fine with it. But I know for a fact now that combining these two in this pot size, considering how they grow, I should be good on this for at least another 6 months. I will go through and add in my organic fertilizer next month. And that's gonna, I like that fertilizer that I use because it causes the plant to grow its own organism, or as they say it in there, I think I'm saying it right. But when it grows its own plant system, ecosystem, boom, that's what it is. The fertilizer allows the plant to grow its own ecosystem, this particular one that I use. And I noticed that the plants that I have been putting it in, they do thrive and they get a different type of color to them. I used to not use fertilizer because I used to think that, hey, that's just a waste. But I found out that is not a waste. It's kind of like if you go to the gym and you take vitamins or supplements. It aids. It won't do it for you if you don't do the hard part, but it will supplement it. And that's exactly what a fertilizer is, a supplement to a plant. Because out in the wild, they don't have fertilizer. But I can imagine all the animal stuff that probably be around on the ground that acts as fertilizer. All right, so you heard enough from me. Anyway, as always, I appreciate you taking your time out to be here and view this video with me. If you have any suggestions, please like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, when you're growing with Sean, there's always something to learn.